Well, welcome. Tonight, we're getting close to the town meeting. For a long period of time, things were happening at town meeting that nobody really ever understood. Town meeting members got articles the night they were supposed to vote on them. I mean, some of them substantial, like when we're buying a Tui toy that's $500,000 to $1 million, and you get your paperwork. An hour later, you're supposed to be ready to decide whether it's a good investment or not. We've done a lot in the last, I'd say, 5 years to change that. We started putting out town meeting report by the FinCom, which has all the information about each article that we discussed on the FinCom. We also started posting on the website a month before town meeting all the articles. As soon as we get the articles, it'll be like typically 25th of the month. We then go to the archives, pull out all the information that been presented to the Capital Committee and the Finance Committee and make it available. So people started getting information earlier. Those who wanted to read it could read it, have a month to digest it, and come in as an informed town meeting member. But then there was still room to improve. You know, it's vintage Milford. Just because we get an A doesn't mean we stop. We want an A+. And there were things at town meeting that we thought could have been optimized. So tonight we're going to talk to somebody who's leading the charge of how to optimize town meeting. Why don't we start, if somebody doesn't know you, Why don't we start with an introduction?
My name is Reno DeLuzio. I'm chairman of the Town Meeting Study and Improvement Committee.
And still chairman of the trail and
Yeah, the trail committee is still alive. It's not very active because the trail project is now completed. So, but we're still doing some odds and ends, I guess. It's a hard thing to let go of once you've been at it for 20 years, I guess. It was a long but successful project.
I keep thinking back about how many times you came with the trail committee of, I need money just in case I can't convince the railroad company to give me a right of way.
Oh yeah, it was always that, yes. Well, the town did contribute, obviously, but 90% of it was paid for by federal and state grants. So the town did very well getting that fine project at a reasonable cost.
And I mean, now, you know, at first people were saying, will anybody use it? You know,
yeah.
If you make this food, will the dogs eat it?
Right. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the dogs are lined up saying,
That's
dog
right.
food, please.
Yeah. You know, we were very apprehensive about it at the beginning. It wasn't my idea. It was somebody else's idea. I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time to make it happen. That was my fortune. But, yeah, we were very skeptical. But, you know, we took it in little bites at a time, 3 phases. We broke it up into 3 pieces. And some of it was testy as to whether or not we could continue. But I would say the stars lined up in the right direction many times for us to make it happen, because it only takes one weak link to spoil the whole project, and we managed to put all the links together.
But now I would think if anybody was to be non-biased, you'd have to say that's probably the most popular program or area in Milford.
I think so, because it's for all ages abilities. It's a very safe off-road facility. People can access open space in Milford, which they hadn't been able to do before. So it gets people out in nature a little bit more. It has health benefits. If you had heart condition, you know, like you do.
Like I do.
How you did. You could get out there and exercise without worrying about being run over. so that's good.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I loved about it was seeing the families.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I can say this because I'm an old man, but old man like me, I can take care of myself. I can look for cars. I can walk up and down the sidewalks.
Yep.
But when you see the little kids, you know, and how many memories they're making themselves, going with mom and dad and just walking the trail, that to me is the most special part of it all.
Right. We could do a whole show on that, but that's not why I'm here.
So now, we've got town meeting.
Yes.
Let's start with, what is a town meeting?
Well, we're a representative town meeting where we have 8 precincts and 30 town meeting members take seats in each of those precincts. They're elected, obviously. And this assembly gets together twice a year and debates and argues and questions all of the important business that comes together twice a year for the town of
But I
Milford.
don't think most residents understand. You know, if you'd ask them to say, who controls the purse of Milford? I've heard people say the finance committee, which I laugh because I'll still, and I get in trouble for saying it, but I'm on the finance committee, so I can say it. The most influential, powerless people
Yeah, right.
in that room.
Yes, right.
Because there's 15 of us and we get one vote.
And all you can do is recommend. That's what you
You
can
got
do.
250, well, you got 240 town meeting members.
That's right.
And then at large, what, another 15 or so?
That's so, yeah. Well, 255 total, something
Out
like
of
that.
255, the finance committee gets
One-
a vote.
A vote, yes. Yeah.
The selectmen, I mean, we all run for town meeting members because the most boring thing in the world my first year was to be sitting there throughout the whole town meeting. And when they say all those in favor, and I have to sit there and say, well, I'm not a voter.
Yeah.
So,
Because you're not an elected
because
member.
I'm not an elected
Yeah,
member.
right. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, town meeting controls every penny
That's right.
spent in this town.
Yeah. It's equivalent to the legislature. They control the purse strings.
It's like Congress.
We have a legislative branch and an executive branch, and a lot of people in between. A lot of good people in between.
So we've got 250 people.
Yep.
If I'm right, in the spring we have what we call our annual town meeting, where we look at our budget, basically everything but capital.
Yep.
And people have always asked, why don't we do it all at once? And my answer's always been, because we don't know how much money we have. You know, you're rolling into May, and you think you know where you're going to end up.
From revenues, from state.
Revenue and
Receipts and-
expenses.
Yeah. Right.
But until almost October, I think, beginning of October, the state doesn't certify your actual year end.
Yep.
That's when we know that favorite term of mine, free cash.
Yeah.
I always wondered where they came up with the idea of free cash.
Like it came from the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Free out of my pocket.
That's right.
You know, it's cash taken out of the residents of Milford that we didn't spend.
Yep.
You know, I hate to call it a profit because it's not.
No.
It's just excess revenue over expenses. So we wait until fall to have, I guess it's called a special town meeting.
Yep.
And there's where we really go through spending.
And that's what's coming up October 28th, is the fall special town meeting.
So 250 people get together, at least we hope.
Well, we get more than half. We get a quorum.
We get a quorum.
Yeah, right.
And decide on every single article.
Yep.
I mean, it's always funny because you'll see articles that we're going to vote to take back $32 from an article from 4 years ago. I remember the one that was 38 cents. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
But it was important that people understood. Town meeting allocated $5 million to put a roof on the school. We spent $4,998,000. There's $1.50 left.
Got to go back.
Got to go back. But the only people that can give or take
Is the
are town meeting.
Yep, that's right.
So we get 250 people in a room, and we debate every article.
Some are pretty routine, but most, yeah, there's a fair number. Well, you feel sometimes we're there till 1 o'clock in the morning, and we used to be. Hopefully, we won't do that anymore because of some of the work my committee did to try to limit the time. And so some towns go 4 or more meetings to get through $100 million. I mean, there's no, and plus everything else that goes on.
You know, the funniest part is people comment, the first 100 million goes without a debate.
Pretty much. Well, the finance committee must be doing a good job in making its one vote recommendation, right?
But you know, the thing is, what people don't really understand, and if you really want to know what's behind the first 100 out of 105 million or 107, it's 6 months of arguing behind the scenes.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I've had people say, you know, town meeting goes so smooth, it's like everything people want, they get yes. Well, no, because the stuff that we've told people we can't afford this year never makes it to the warrant.
Yeah.
Explain, what's a warrant?
Well, the warrant is the call to meeting. It's the agenda of the meeting. And the way that's generated is that all the departments present articles that they want the town meeting to act upon. You can get citizens petitions to put articles in the warrant. The selectmen collect all of that information, and soon now they'll be deciding on the October warrant, all the items that are going to be presented at the October meeting. So that's really the agenda of the meeting. You can't get the town meeting and something come out of the blue and you want the town meeting
Well, I'd like
to
you to
vote on
spend
it.
$100,000
No,
on
you
this.
wait till next town meeting. You can then put your article in and you can be heard. So that's controlled very well by the moderator, I should say.
And realistically, for you to put an article on, you're going to get called, if it's a money article of any sort, in front of the FinCom.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a capital item, you're going to first get called in front of the subcommittee on capital.
Mm-hmm.
And there, everybody that's done it knows there's 5 questions we ask. Things like, what are you doing? What is this about? Why? What's the alternative? Have you got bids? And where's the background information?
Yeah, right.
And you'd be amazed how many times people have come to us and said, I need to do all that?
Yeah.
Like, well, let's see, you're asking for $50,000. Yeah, if I came to you and said, hey, Reno, I need 50 grand. What for? I don't want to tell you. Just give me.
Yeah.
We got to treat it as if it's our money.
Sure.
So if you make it out of like the capital committee, then you go to the full FinCom. And in the middle, before it goes FinCom, if it's something to deal with the selectmen's areas, it's got to go through the selectmen to get
Yep.
to us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So by the time it's made it to the town meeting floor, you've got, if it's a capital item, the capital committee that's
Yeah.
evaluated it, the selectmen that have evaluated it.
It's been vetted pretty well. It has been. Yeah, so but again, the town meeting members mostly see the end result and they think it just happened. It doesn't just happen. There's a lot of blood and sweat that went into getting okay for that dollar
The
amount.
thing I'm most proud of is that I don't see the fighting on Milford town meeting floor that I see in other towns.
Yep.
You read about how the school committee and the selectmen are at war and they're going to the town meeting floor for a floor fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the last time we had a floor fight on a department level.
I don't either. And I've been there for over 45 years. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I mean, I think we probably have the most efficient town meeting in the state of Massachusetts. I mean, nobody goes through the stuff we do in a short period of time. That's not saying that's great, because maybe people are still scratching their head about what's going on and how to make some debate and question. That is one of the...
Wasn't that the purpose? I mean, I
You
remember
get
when
ahead
you
of
set up
myself,
your committee,
Yes.
it was to make town meeting more efficient, but to also make it
No,
easier to
not
understand.
necessarily more. Make it, improve it. So some things we do may make it less efficient, and that's why we have to convince town meeting that in some cases you may have to spend a little bit more time to get more information out, and so that you can debate it. So, but anyway, this town meeting study and improvement committee, one of its mandates. Well, let me say this.
Come back a step though, Reno.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. What is and why do we have a town meeting improvement committee?
Okay, before the town meeting study and improvement committee was created by the town meeting, there was a town meeting working group that was created by the citizens from Milford. They're a public nonprofit organization whose part of their mission is to improve Milford government and the quality of life. So they were asking for ideas. So you know me, I always get full of ideas. So I went to one of their idea meeting and I said, I have 2. I said, one of them is that we should look at town meeting and see if there are any areas we could improve it, because towns at that point and still are getting away from town meeting and going to a city council form of government. And I firmly believe in the town meeting, that it's a democratic institution that should be preserved as long as we can preserve it. And I said to them, no organization can stay 45 years without looking at itself and seeing what it could do to improve itself, right? And you get anecdotal comments from people. At the town meeting, we're rubber stamping stuff, and we really don't know what's going on. So anyway, when this working group took that idea, and they developed a survey. I was a member of that group too. And they developed a survey of all town meeting members, a 50-question survey, and they broke down a number of things. What do you like and what don't you like about town meeting? And some things they were given a grade, a percentage that they liked or disliked. So the result of that survey brought out 20 some odd areas that could use improvement. So now the citizens could no longer take on the next step, that how do you get at these things and start recommending changes. So that group decided to go to the town meeting and have the town meeting appoint a committee responsible to the town meeting on improvements. So the town meeting did that in October of 2017, and this town meeting study improvement committee has been running since then. So that was the history behind it. We've made some accomplishments over this time period. We've got a ways to go on a number of others. But as a part of that, one of the enumerated duties in the listing of what this committee was supposed to do is to organize pre-town meeting forums. The reason for that, as best we could determine, was that the town meeting is not a forum for question and answers. Right. It's a debating forum. You have a point of view, I have a point of view, you tell, I tell, and the town meeting hears the 2 points of view theoretically and picks the best of the two of how to vote.
It's also not a place for venting.
No,
You're not
it's
supposed
hard
to
that's
get up
hard to prevent, as you and I know.
No,
Once you get going, it's, yeah.
We did need a place where I could just go up there and say, I'm tired of this. I don't understand why it's done. And Mike Nofri he'd nail you right away saying, if you don't know what you're asking,
right.
Don't waste 250 people's time.
Right. Yeah, because he's got to keep the meeting moving. So there is opportunity to ask questions, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But it can't go on a lot because now we're into 4 nights. So this idea was, let's have a pre-town meeting where it's more informal. We're not held by the town meeting rules. Essentially, someone who's got an article that is selected to be addressed, they give a short presentation of it, and then the audience, the public and town meeting members, have an open forum to ask questions. So there's a dialogue back and forth, and that has 2 purposes. One, it gets this issue out that there's some questions that people have that could get answered, and it helps the sponsor because after he gets through with that, he or she gets through with that, the next week is the town meeting, he refines his presentation
and
make
a chance to kind of do a trial run.
And yeah, because some people, like even myself, I've been doing this a long time, but I get a little shake in the knees too when I get up there. So anyway, that's what the pre-town meeting forum is for. It's to get that part of it that you really can't do at town meeting ahead of time. And the last one we had was in May of this year, and we developed a questionnaire survey for the end. And 92%, there were about 70 people there or so, 92% said it was either helpful or very helpful. 94%, because we asked the question, should we continue this? Because if there's no interest, right, we'll go find something else to do. So 96% says, yes, continue it. So here we are again, October now of 2019.
But it really does give residents or even town meeting members a chance to ask less direct questions.
Yeah.
That I just want to know why or how does this affect that?
Yeah.
You can't do that at town meeting. We'd be there all night.
We had in May, we had the last pre-town meeting forum. For the first time, the budget was in the articles to be considered. And got very good complimentary remarks about the school department. Because the school department did an excellent job at presenting the budget, which the school department doesn't do that at a town meeting. They explain the exchange program we have across various towns, students coming in, students going out, how does it cost, what they're constrained about and where they can put students and why. It went on and on for quite a while, and the superintendent and the business manager did an excellent job in explaining it, and we got some positive boy, I wish I had known some of this beforehand. So it's an educational opportunity for town meeting members and the general public as well. And it's I don't like to advertise it, but the forum is taped, so it can be viewed later on. And no, it is live. That's right. It is live.
It is live, but it's taped.
Yeah, but
And
I
then
don't.
You put it up on the net,
Yep.
so that, I mean, if I don't want to spend an hour listening, I can get home, spend 10, 15 minutes, leave it,
Yep.
come back tomorrow or the day after,
Right.
watch the next 50. I can watch the whole thing in bits.
You talking about
my
the
own-
town meeting now?
I'm
No,
talking about the
forum. Yeah, and the town meeting. Yeah, right.
everything.
Yeah, yeah. But the committee is concerned that if it can be seen on television, people won't show up. The idea is to show up, because the forum is only as good as the audience you have and the number of people you have. If it starts to dwindle because people don't want to come out, which is sometimes the case.
Having it, even if you tape it and put it on after, having it available. We got a lot of people who, single parents, working odd hours.
Oh yeah, no, that's why we tape it. Yeah.
That's why I like having it up on whatever, YouTube or the Milford TV.
Yeah, Milford TV.
Because I may want to come, but I got 2 kids.
Can't do it.
In bed. I'm not going to leave them home.
No.
And I don't necessarily know that I got the money to pay for a babysitter to go to the meeting.
And that's better than nothing, because now if you're a town meeting member and you go to town meeting, now you've got some
least you're
more
more
information to deal with, right? It's all information. One of the other mandates of our committee is to communicate more frequently with town meeting members. As we discover information is lacking, or it's not in a good form, which is easy understandable, or it doesn't arrive at an appropriate time, my committee has a direct spigot into town meeting members via the town clerk's email database. For those who decided to register their email, we have some, out of the 250, we have about 30 that don't either have email or they choose not to list it. So we communicate with them through U.S. mail. But for the majority of the town meeting members, we get an instantaneous communication link. Something the finance committee feels that they want to make sure the town meeting members get, and they don't want to wait for send it out through the town clerk. Our committee could do that.
The other thing too is, if I remember, you don't go through all 40 articles. You pick the real critical ones.
No, we don't.
Right.
No. The process is this. When the selectmen approve the warrant, it'll be on the website. Right after that, we'll go out, publicity, 8 media outlets, and we'll blast this out. I'll send this notice out to the town meeting members directly, and in that notice is submit your articles that you would like to see addressed. There's an email address and a mail address that you can submit articles. So all these requests for articles to be addressed come in. I have a subcommittee that meets when the deadline is over, and we tally them and rank them in order of those who got the highest number of responses. So again, that's a public meeting, so they can come in and make sure we're not jiggling the books here. but no, we're pretty straightforward with that. So we rank them in that order, and we pick 10, because in an hour and a half you can't go through 40. Now you can't tell. Somebody might come in and feel. In fact, this happened in the past, which is not. I'm not disparaging it at all. That a liquor license question was important. It happened to be in a neighborhood that I guess it had some interest. So that got enough votes to get on the top 10. But normally liquor licenses are, you petition the legislature and it's pretty straightforward.
Or accepting a road.
Yeah, but you never know, right? So anyway, that's a...
So you'll go through and people will submit, and you'll pick the top 10.
Yep.
And start number 1, give it whatever, 10 minutes, 15 minutes discussion?
Well, yeah, what we do is we ask the sponsor not to read the article, especially if it's a long one that takes too much time. Just say, like, you have basic questions, what it's about, what are you trying to achieve, and then open the forum to question and answer. Now, we also instruct everybody, the sponsors and the audience, not to advocate pro or against. It's not an advocacy, but that's hard to do.
Wait a minute, Reno. Yeah. I'm putting an article up for something I
feel
strong about.
Yes.
And I'm going to sit there and be totally neutral?
No, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. I'm not saying that. But you should not try to make your time consumed
don't
with.
Don't try and sell it the
right.
whole time.
Be courteous to people there to ask questions. Be courteous to give them an opportunity to ask questions.
It is is amazing, though, because we have our, how do I say this? We have our little pool of what question that means nothing will take up hours.
Oh, yes, right, yes.
Every town meeting, if you remember the one about the chickens.
I just interviewed with Kevin Rudden before this, and I brought up that because that's stuck in my mind. We argued about an hour for
It
chickens.
was over an hour.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And somehow it came down to rogue roosters running wild in Milford, buying pot at a Milford Main Street pot store, and giving the avian flu to the town.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, we just sat there when we started putting together all the arguments.
Yeah, right.
It was, if it wasn't sad, it was comical.
Well, you need that, Bruce. You need some comedy, though, too. We got to go back. We had some real comics in the years gone by. Yeah, well, let's not bring up all that era.
No, but I mean, you go through it, and I mean, I'm absolutely tickled that profanity is not used at the town meeting.
Oh, yeah, no, it's
and I
very
don't mean words that we normally think of profane. I mean the two worst profane words I can think of. 2.5 override
Oh,
and debt
yes,
exclusion.
that's right. We've never had one of those.
Never had one.
Either one, no.
We've had somebody who threatened that they were going to go to the town meeting and ask for a 2.5 override, and we all cheered them on.
Good
And
luck
it was
with
like,
that.
we thought the FinCom would be against it. We said, no, the comic relief
Yeah,
would be wanted to be breaking up the town meeting where we need it.
right, yes. So anyway, that's what we're up to now, and we hope we see the warrant soon. I think we will. But whatever it is, we'll work around it and meet our timeline to get the forum on board on
So now,
October 22nd.
realistically, all kidding aside, I want to know what you're spending my money on. Right? Their town meeting. I mean, I can't complain because, 14 years in a row we've had a surplus, or 13 out of 14 years we've had a surplus?
Yeah.
And the town meeting, I mean, I love the idea where they say, okay, a year ago or two we had $4 million surplus. Well, that's not our money. That means we took too much.
Yeah.
It's almost inherent because you can't budget so tight that, I mean, by law, we have to have a balanced budget.
Yep.
Not a question, not a debate. We can't be like our friends in Washington and say, hey, Rick, turn up the printing presses. Print some more Milford currency to cover this deficit. So we have to be conservative in how we budget, but not so conservative that we're going to run out of money. So, years go by and everybody says, we've had a $3 million surplus. Well, that means we had a 97%, 98% efficiency rate in our budgeting.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound too bad to me. If I came home with a 98 on an evaluation, most of the time my parents would have thought.
It's a big number because you're dealing with $100 million. But, relatively speaking, it's pretty tight budgeting. And you can now describe what you do with that excess cash.
So now, as a history, we've taken 1.8 to 2 million, about half, and put it back against the levy. So people say, what does that mean? Well, your taxes, I don't think they've gone down once or twice in the last 20 years.
I don't remember.
But you got to think hard. But what it does, it keeps it from going up even higher.
Yeah.
Because we're taking that $2 million and we're saying, okay, we're not going to spend this money. We're going to put it back to help your taxes stay where they are.
Relatively speaking. As close as you can.
Now, it always gets confusing because people will say, well, wait a minute, our levy being all the income the town has, everything from parking tickets to doggy licenses, mainly real estate taxes. But you put it all into a pot, that's the levy. And we say, well, this year the levy's going up 1%. And there's been years where single-family homes went up 3%, 4%. And people get confused because they'll come back and say, but wait a minute, if you only raised our taxes, our levy, 1%, how come I went up 4%? What they don't understand is that you have residential taxes, that's your home, you have commercial, the stores, and you have industrial, the Waters and Crew of the world. the assessor now goes into the residential and says, what, you got single-family homes, two-family homes, multiple family apartments,
Condominiums.
and they assess all of those and say, oh, this year condos went down, or
In market value.
in market value,
Yeah, right.
but commercial went up. So the people on the commercial get an increase higher than the average.
Right.
But what we forget is commercial is getting nailed 50% more. If you have a $100,000 home and a $100,000 business, the business pays 50% more tax.
1.5 times the residential.
1.5 times the residential.
In rate, yeah.
That really keeps, when you say the average house in Milford is 4,900 or so, well, if you have an equivalent, I don't care to talk tonight, but if you have an equally valued business, they're paying 7,500.
Yeah.
Now the problem is when commercial property goes down,
Somebody's got to make the difference up.
boy, do you feel it.
Yeah.
Because when they go down a bit,
Yeah.
it's exacerbated by the rate.
Because it goes on 1.5 times.
1.5 times.
Yeah,
So
right.
all of a sudden,
That's a two-sided coin. Yeah, right.
all of a sudden, your home taxes that were going to go up 1%
Right.
just jumped 3%. But the aggregate, the whole, still only went up 1%.
Yeah.
And I mean I hear all these theories about how to keep taxes low. And I go back to the fundamental, don't spend as much.
That's right.
If you don't spend it, then you don't have to collect for it.
Yeah, and that's a big problem too, because things wear out. Yeah, you got to buy new equipment for the fire department. You need new schools from time to time, and highway department, and everything else that keeps the town running. And as we said earlier, before the show started, that you have to look at the services we get for the taxes we spend. That's not easy to get your arms around. The average taxpayer to get their arms around. What are we getting for what we're spending? That's compare us to other towns. If you don't do that, what do you get for what you pay? You don't get a fair comparison.
That's the part I love. I mean, we had the guy come in when we were dealing with the stormwater. And,
Stormwater management, yeah. Right.
And the EPA was threatening to lay $60 million program on Milford. And I remember the guy came in, and because he had an idea where we could fund it without raising taxes. And I'm thinking, okay, we're all going to sit on the corner with a cup of pencils. And so, but it was interesting because we said, okay, if you have an idea, the FinCom shouldn't say no to any resident's idea. But when he came in and said, I don't think we should raise taxes, but we should just add a fee. And I'm looking saying, excuse me? Well, you would add up how big your roof is, how big your driveway is, square footage, and you would pay a fee because you're blocking the water drainage.
Right.
And I remember looking saying, no, I mean, I'm old and I'm slow, but a fee sounds like I can feel your hand going in my pocket.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Somebody's got to pay.
Yeah, I don't care if you call it a tax.
Yeah.
If you're taking money out of my pocket in any way, shape, or form, feels like a tax. You look at some of the things we offer, Scotty with his leaf picker-uppers. That, to me, is a wonderful service.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most popular services in the town. And people forget that every so many years, those trucks,
They wear out.
They were out. We were lucky because the first ones were the sewer cleaners, the manhole cleaners.
Right.
Dang tanks. They weighed so much, and they only could hold so many leaves, so you're driving the tank back and forth.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But when they wore, those were $250,000 a piece. When they wore out, Scotty found a new way for $150, and these new guys grind up the leaves.
Get more per load.
You get like 3 times on the load.
Yeah, sure. More
and they're
efficient.
much lighter. And
Right.
instead of taking 2 people or 3 people to guide the arm, they got one guy with a little
Sure.
robot.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you'd sit there and say, you don't value leaf pickup until the year that I was week 1. And I picked up the 2 leaves that had fallen.
Yeah, right.
I walked them down.
Yeah.
And then I had to pay somebody to
remove
take
them.
them away.
Yeah.
I got a feeling for what that cost me.
Yeah, there's no doubt that we have to keep looking for ways to get more efficiency and less cost. I mean, that you just can't sit there and say this is the best we can do. Any department is, and highway department you pointed out as a typical example. But before we get off this pre-town meeting forum too much, there's one little difference, this one, than the previous one.
Okay.
And that is because of the survey said, we asked the town meeting members, should we explore electronic voting for the town meeting? With today's technology, that's possible. So the survey said, yeah, study it. No commitment, just study it. So that's what we're doing. And we have a 3-phase program that takes us from now till 2020 to get through, to introduce this subject to the town meeting. What we're doing now in this first phase is we're collecting data and information, what other towns have done, their reports, their satisfaction with the system, if they have adopted it, how many had adopted. The Mass Moderators Association did a very good survey of 26 towns, and we got some data from that. And now we also decided that we ought to have demonstration, because you can just, you send reports out, people don't read them, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short, we got an article in this October town meeting to ask for authorization to do to run the spring 2020 town meeting using electronic voting. Again, it's a one-shot demonstration event.
Non-binding or binding?
No, non-binding. This is, we make it very clear. The committee has not taken a position on this at this point. We're in the data gathering mode.
Run alongside the normal stand up and vote.
No, now the detail is, where do we want to call for electronic vote? I don't think we want to do it for every vote. Maybe it's a standing vote. Maybe it's a close voice votes. Whatever that is, we'll decide that between now and the spring town meeting. But right now, in order for us to do that at the spring town meeting, we need authorization. And you can't walk into the spring town meetings. I said it's not on the warrant, right? They'll send us back packing, right?
The warrant's closed. I'd like to change it.
No, you can't do that. So we got an article in this town meeting authorizing that demonstration.
But when you say demonstration, to me a demonstration is you're running the town meeting like we always did.
Yep.
And alongside, you're doing the electronic voting, and then you see if there's a correlation.
No.
Would those votes count?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
We're going to run the meeting.
So
yeah.
it's not a demonstration.
Oh, no,
it is.
Yeah, but it is the first crack at it. We call it a demonstration, but no, it's the first time Milford will have a town meeting run with electronic voting of some degree. We haven't figured out what that degree is yet. All right, but now, so in this pre-town meeting forum, because the article's in this October meeting, we think it's going to make the top 10, but we're not sure.
I would think.
All right, but so if it does, then we will have one of the service providers who does this kind of work, does it for quite a few towns in Massachusetts, come in and do a demonstration, but it'll be a PowerPoint. Just at the beginning, when we present our article for this authorization for the next town meeting, he'll present a brief PowerPoint to show you what the features are of this thing. And they can ask questions if they want, and that's it.
That would be interesting, because I'm thinking of the bandwidth you need. Because, in 1 minute, you may have 30, 40 people all trying to vote. That'd be interesting.
Oh, these systems run an open town meeting where they have 300. Open town meeting is very useful, because you can't, if you have a standing vote, it takes a long time to count 250 people. With electronic, you do it in 10 milliseconds.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very, and it's the coming thing, but I don't know if Milford's ready for that. And we're taking 3 years to find out. No, 2 years to find out anyway.
No, but I could see if we get 150 people showing up.
At the town meeting.
At the town meeting,
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
You know, I could see people who really wanted to be involved but just couldn't. They're sick. They don't want to leave the house. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
You could probably get 30 to 50 people voting electronically. You know, on top out of the 100 that didn't show up.
No, you can't do. No, you can't. This got to be at the town hall.
Oh.
Oh no, you can't take the clicker home with you. No, no, no. That's a. Oh no.
When you said electronic, I thought you
You
meant
brought-
like
no, you do it
I
from
would
the
log
house?
in and
That's against
go
the Constitution. No, you can't do that. No, you got to be there. But it's like a 3-button clicker. It's very easy. Yes, no, maybe. I don't know.
So okay, so it's still just people in
Oh,
the
yeah.
town hall.
Oh yes,
To speed it up.
right. Now you know what the issue is going to be. Do you want your name recorded with your vote?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be. Wait, let me say, in this demonstration, in this article, that we're asking for authorization to run the spring town meeting in 2020 with this system, we explicitly say town meeting members' names will not be recorded because that's a sensitive issue to a number of town meeting members, and we don't want that in that.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Now, if I stand up,
yeah.
I'm sorry, my name is being recorded. I mean, they got the television camera.
Yeah,
filming
yeah,
it.
bro. Yeah, you will go try to find my voice, my face in that video. You can't find it.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say,
People claim that you have to have the courage to stand up. For what? I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe you ought to have the courage. Just to have the courage to stand up.
I think so. I mean, if I
That's a
believe-
valid point.
If I don't like what you're saying, you know, it's not like nay. That
And there's another group that says that it ought to be recorded. Oh, no, not recorded because I can vote my mind better. I can vote what really I'm thinking. Where I have to stand up, my neighbor sees how I'm voting. Maybe I don't vote if he's a fireman or something. You know, so that's a.
you know, it's probably very legitimate, but I'm not feeling a lot of empathy there. You took on a role to represent Precinct 8.
Yes.
Now, I don't have the
Happens to
right.
be my precinct, by the way.
Mine too.
Oh,
But I don't have the right to be mad at you for voting your heart.
I know
okay?
you don't. Right?
So I don't get it.
But how do I feel?
Yeah.
Maybe you do. I don't know if you do or not, right?
But I mean, even if you're totally against me,
Yeah.
if I think you're doing it out of what you believe is the best for
Yeah,
Milford,
Sure.
I got to respect it because I'm hoping that when I vote against you, you'll give me the benefit of the doubt and
Yeah.
respect my right to vote what
Yeah,
I
and
think.
not hold it against me.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. See, because I've never been a fan like when we have at the FinCom these. Well, let's have secret ballot. It's like why,
Yeah. Well.
you know, and that gets really touchy because when you're voting for chairman once a year,
Yeah.
and certain people are like really they want it,
Yeah.
and you got two people who are equally suited. Wow, that can get challenging when you stand up.
Right. Yes, it can. Get testy. One other thing is, I felt with this question we've been just talking about, that this question should be asked to the voters of the town of Milford, not the town meeting members. Do you want your town meeting member accountable? Do you want to know how they voted? Do you want to record how
You know,
they
and
voted?
again, candidly, I think the answer is yes.
If you ask the voters?
No, only my
You
opinion.
know, yeah, we don't know what the
Okay.
voters would say.
I don't know what all the
But that's a
voters-
valid question for the voters.
Absolutely.
Like the legislature, they record their
I
votes.
was going to say, I want to know
But that's not
what
local.
Brian and Ryan voted on.
Yeah, and you can
'Cause-
find out.
I look and I say, okay, now at the end of the day,
Yeah.
do I feel that they're representing me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a challenge because Reno's running against Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Joe is in there. His votes are logged. I can see it. Reno's saying, I'll do this, but I got to either trust or not trust.
Mm-hmm.
Here I got documented evidence.
Yeah.
I can look and say 80% of the time, Brian or Ryan or whatever vote the way I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're never going to get 100.
No.
But if they're voting 80% of the time along the same way I would,
You vote for me
you're
again.
going to get my vote again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, if you're voting 20%,
Yeah.
I may want to change my mind this time.
You know, one of the ground rules we have in our committee is do no harm. So we're very careful about getting into a swamp that we can't get out of. So that's why we're taking it very cautiously. The first phase, I say, we're into now. Then there'll be the next piece will get us to spring of next year. And after that, town meeting is run with electronic voting. We'll have a survey of the town meeting members, and then we'll look at the survey, all the other information we get, and then October of 2020, we'll either have a recommendation for or not, and then if it's for, then we'll ask for appropriation, so it will start in
So the idea is we all
2021.
get little buttons in front of us?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's got a couple of other features. It's a shopping list of features. There's a whole, because it's software now, you know as well as I do, you can mix and match anything you want to do. Take statistical data, can display the information in any which way, form you want. But we've had a problem with being recognized by the moderator.
Yes.
I should say this, that Mike Nofri now, our committee's been talking to him, and he's now going to try at the town meeting, have 2 lines of people in the aisle, those who want to speak, stand up on those 2 aisles, so there's no raising the hand and waving your hand and hollering and all of that, and he will alternate until the aisle is cleared.
You know, your committee spearheaded the non-filibustering policy.
Well, time limit, you mean on speaking, yeah. Yes, we did.
I'm going to get up and talk for an hour and a half. Oh my God, even if I was for you, by the time you've passed the 45-minute mark,
Right.
I'm against what you're saying for
Yeah.
the fact that, you know, I've always said, if you can't make your point in 5 minutes, you don't belong up
No,
there.
that's right, yeah.
So-
I'll say 10 at the most.
Or 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're 10, yeah.
It was the 45 and the hour
I can't do it in
long-
5. You know me, the finance committee says you got 2 minutes.
Yeah, we say that because we know you'll go 5 or 10. But, you know, going 45 minutes to an hour,
Yeah, that's,
okay, come on.
people walk out. Let's get back to this moderator issue, because the clicker, if you want to speak, you hit the clicker, because we're not in a voting mode. So it registers that the light's on, there's people who want to speak. So all the moderator has to do is look at the lights and say, I still got people out there who want to speak. Until the lights go away, he stops asking if anybody wants to speak. So it's and then you could cancel your request at any time. Somebody asks a question you want to ask?
Can he cancel if it's the
No,
fifth
you
time?
he can't touch it, no.
It's the 5th time you want to say the same thing?
No, you can't do that.
Because that's my only, you know, when they have the lines of people,
Yeah,
and I don't envy the moderator when, Mr. Moderator, Mr.
yeah.
Oh,
It's hard for him. He's up there, and it's hard to see, and people don't really...
and you got 8 people yelling at the same time.
You get up on that stage and look out there. It's not easy.
But on the other hand, there's got to be a limit on how many times you can recycle. I'm sorry, I haven't made my point the first 4 times I've been up here.
Well,
Let me try the 5th.
No, we have this system, a time limit. If you read the rule, you can do it, I guess, 2 or 3 times, and then that's it.
See, but that I'm happy with.
Yeah,
In the old days, it just rolled.
We never had to exercise. In fact, since we instituted that rule, we haven't had to exercise it too much. People get the message.
No, it's only been a couple times when we've yelled 10 minutes,
Yeah,
you know, to give Mike a hint that.
Yeah, right. Yes, you could do
And
that.
he's been pretty good that if somebody is like wrapping up,
Yeah.
I haven't seen him really cut off people. He'll
Oh, another thing it could do, if you want it, keeps track of the quorum. Because when you walk out, you got to hang your clicker in.
Oh, that could be an interesting one.
See, this thing gets very controversial
That could
quick.
be an interesting one because I remember a couple nights when I was sitting
Right.
there,
Yeah.
and you know we started with like 20 more than the quorum,
Right.
and by 10 o'clock, as people were walking out, I'm
It was less than
thinking,
121, I'll tell you
yeah,
that.
and all of a sudden you're sitting there saying, okay, we started with 150, and I've counted 30. Oh, I'm going to stop counting.
Yeah. And it might have an effect of people staying in their seat a little bit longer, not leaving. Because now,
Or they got to hand in their clicker.
they go, yeah, right.
Because I always thought that I guess it's the town report, they put whether you would, how many
Yeah.
how many meetings you attended.
Yes.
I think that's pretty cool. If you're taking on
Yeah.
responsibility to represent Precinct 8,
Mm-hmm.
I want you there.
Yeah.
And when you saw year after year 0 attendance, you have to ask the question, why are you running? if you're not going to show up and represent me.
See, now all this data would be automated. Well, to do that, it was a lot of manual work to keep track of all that stuff. To go back in history and pull all that stuff out, it's a big deal.
Oh yeah, once you put it into a database,
Yeah.
you can just pull it and say, okay, Reno's
Right, you can
made,
analyze it 3 ways to Sunday.
50 out of
by
51.
precinct, by
'Cause
whatever,
everybody's gonna
whichever
miss
way.
one. There's always going to be an event, like your kid's wedding or
Oh
something.
no, there's no
that-
question. But you can't expect 250 people to show up every meeting. That's unrealistic.
But they ought to, the majority of the time, they ought to show up.
Yeah. We had, not a committee member, but someone else gave us some information about town meeting members and their delinquencies. And they did go back and look at the record. But when you looked at it, overall, the percentage of people that had chronic absenteeism was a very small percentage. It was scattered, it was random, Some years, some person didn't show up for couple of meetings and then showed up again, and for 2 or 3 years didn't show up, and then came for every meeting after that.
Well,
so it's
You have a
it's-
heart attack or something,
oh
and
yeah,
guess what?
a family,
You're going to miss a meeting or two.
family obligations, yeah. But so it wasn't a very significant body that we had to go after.
So did anything after the annual, the May town meeting, did anything else jump out like a big, heavy suggestion?
No,
That's
No.
good.
no.
But that was good because the time limits, the way we were doing things needed to be addressed.
Oh, so, something else, we're doing a lot of things. But we want to get a new town meeting member orientation program going. We used to have one, but then it didn't get much attendance. It got abandoned. Mike Nofri and Amy, the town clerk, did it for a while. But I haven't had the subcommittee available to do that. Oh, we've got a couple of new applicants. Our committee is organized. We have time for this?
Sure.
Our committee is organized in the following fashion. We were first organized, 9 members, all subcommittees. We had 7 of them, I think, and we had about 20 things to work on. That was the starting gate. And that wasn't working out too well because the open meeting law, when you have a subcommittee meeting, you got to follow all the rules of the open meeting law. A lot of people don't want to bother with that stuff, right? So, to take a long story short, we changed the organization recently to have only 3 subcommittees and then the rest of task groups, just people like working on a specific thing, like find a report,
A
right?
lot of times it's easier to get somebody, they'll work on one thing,
Right.
but they don't want to be part of
This whole procedural stuff that you got to follow. But we kept 3 subcommittees. One of them is the pre-town meeting forum, because that's going to be a recurring thing. The other one is the new town meeting orientation program. And then we had also an idea of a mentor program, but neither the town meeting member orientation program or the mentor program haven't got off the dime because we just don't have the personnel. Then we also created another category to get more help on the committee called consultant volunteers. I know there's a lot of talent in that town meeting, right? But again, they don't want to commit to a committee rigor, schedules and all of that stuff. So we got some of them to volunteer as consultant volunteers who have particular expertise in various areas, town meeting members, to be consultants of the committee.
I'm surprised at the orientation because you could get people, you think of how much institutional knowledge is sitting in a Jack Tennaro, an Aldo Chakey, a Bobby DeVita.
For mentor program, you mean?
Yeah, to teach people. This is how town meeting works. As
right.
a town meeting member, if you're doing this seriously, a month before town meeting, you ought to be going to the website saying, what's the day after
Yeah, I know.
Rick lets loose the super secret warrant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, he's doing the right thing. You can't let loose a warrant.
No. It
Selectmen
create all
agree
kinds
to
of
it.
havoc, yeah.
It was there, it wasn't there,
Right.
but we can still rib him about it. But letting town meeting members know, this isn't the old days where, first town meeting I went to, I get the warrant, and I got all these articles that I'm supposed to vote on in an hour.
Right.
There's no way I can do due diligence.
And you can't expect them to go to the meetings that vet all this stuff. I mean, that's almost an impossible request of town meeting because there's too many of them.
It was Buckley who embarrassed me into doing this because he came into a FinCom meeting once. He says, years ago, the FinCom used to do a FinCom report and explain to town meeting members what was discussed
Yes.
about each article. And I thought about it. I said, you know, I don't want to take it on, but he's right. We should do it because it's a ton of work. Because
Yeah.
I've been doing them. But he was right.
Yeah.
And then what happened was town meeting members come up to me and say, it's nice you're giving me a paragraph, but a paragraph on a fire truck? You know, it's a $500,000 pumping truck and I get a paragraph?
Yeah.
So that's when we said, okay, a month before town meeting, we're going to have folders. So if you want to learn about the fire truck, there it is. Now, I have no sympathy when they say you put everything up there. There was 1,000 pages. I said, well, it's $1.1 million for that truck.
A lot of stuff.
You don't have to read it all, but at least nobody can say that in my jacket I've got the information, I'm not sharing it. It's there.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm 1/28,000th stakeholder. You know, I'm one person, one resident out of the town.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be the only one with the information, or 10 of us. It should be available to everybody.
That's our committee's view as well. Information, make it available, make it fairly easy for people to understand, do it in a timely fashion, and we'll make some improvement.
And I mean, realistically, there's so much going on in our town. So many good things, so many good people. I mean, I always laugh when we sit down and say, you know, we're going to debate about how we should spend the surplus for the 14th year in a row. There's a lot of towns around us that don't have any sympathy. The fact that we're debating how to spend our surplus again.
Yeah, they're trying to make
But
ends meet.
we can feel proud because the reason we're doing that is not because of the FinCom. It's not because of the selectmen, and I hope or the school committee, or any elected official. They help. It's because of the residents. Our department heads treat that money like it's theirs. That's why we end up with surpluses. You don't see at the end of the year a department trying to dump money because they got a little extra. They'll turn it back in because we're not going to penalize them for it next year. And that's what makes it work. It's the people. If you can donate a couple hours here or there, you know, you may be an accountant, you may be an engineer, you may have some specialty, or you may be the most important one, somebody who loves Milford. Get a hold of people like Reno and get involved. Learn, town meeting members especially. You should walk into that town meeting ready, because if you had questions, you asked them. And shame on anybody who doesn't answer them if they have the information. So as always, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. To our 6 loyal viewers, may God bless. May tomorrow be a better night than tonight. And I hope to see the town meeting members out of the 6 showing up and asking good questions to protect our money. Thank you.
Not too long since I've been home. Been running all my life